Let's go, man. The Hawks, man. I'm a big Trae Young fan, as you can see. I love the Hawks. Why haven't the Hawks given Trae Young his extension?
So it's not going to happen. I think you can point back to the day that the San Antonio Spurs signed De'Aaron Fox to a max extension. That was insanely stupid by San Antonio because I think De'Aaron Fox, solid player, kind of fits with Victor Wembanyama, but not perfectly. And so that was something where if they could have gotten a more team-friendly deal, then I think Trae and his camp look at the Hawks and go, okay, we'll take that. But the minute that essentially San Antonio gave De'Aaron Fox the most amount of money they could give him, then Trae's camp is going to look and go, okay, give me the max. Now, the guy running the show in Atlanta now, Ansi Saleh, is
like him.
very, very different than anybody that this city has experienced before because he comes across like your friend. And every time I'm in the practice facility, he comes up, he dabs me up. He's real friendly, and I think he does that with the players too. But he comes from the Spurs and he comes from the Warriors, at least the old school Spurs, where they're smart about their money and they're not going to waste it. And when you have these new cap situations that are happening across the league because of this new CBA, Ansi knows I can't pay Trae the max and expect to be contending because otherwise, if I do, and we have an injury like a Jalen Johnson goes down again or anything like that, then I'm looking like the Boston Celtics, and maybe I don't even get a championship like the Celtics did. And so and I'm having to have a yard sale, and the Hawks benefited by getting Kristaps Porzingis. So I think because of the new CBA that was signed a couple years ago, money is super, super weird in the NBA moving forward. Like, no one, I think, is going to be able to have a real run in the NBA of winning title after title because of you got to pay guys. And so, like, kind of long story short, for Trae, it's that he is a really good player, a player that you love to have on your team, that I think Atlanta wants him to stick around. He clearly wants to stick around, but you can't overpay the guy and look back on it later, because fans certainly would. Fans would look back later and be like, well, if you hadn't have paid Trae all that money, then you wouldn't have got stuck, because they did it with DeAndre Hunter. They did it with John Collins, and like these deals came back to bite them. And so even if it is Trae, and even if he is an all-star, and even if he is a star, and we love him because he plays for our team, I think you got to be smart about the money. And so ultimately, you have a situation that I think is going to play out where if they have a successful season, I think they'll find a way to get a contract done at the end of the year. But if you run into injuries again, or if expectations are, top 4 in the East and you don't make the playoffs again, then maybe both sides go, it's better off playing, somewhere else.
I got two ways to look at it. I feel like if the Atlanta Hawks, they gave Trae the tools to win, I feel like if he wins, they'll give him his contract. But I also feel like, hey, if things don't work out, they got Porzingis where they can just get rid of him, because it's just 1 year, and then get rid of Trae and then come in. I think they locked in the people they want to lock in. Dyson Daniels are trying to lock him in. Jalen Johnson, Zachary Richardson. I feel like, if things don't work out, they could probably get some assets for both of those guys and come in and contend again. But I hope Trae stays. I understand why they won't pay him the big dollars. He's not. I think because of his physical stature, he just can't do some things. If he was like 6'7", I think it'd be a whole different story. I hate to say that, but I mean, he's got the heart. He can. What?
You did I just laugh. I laugh every time you say if he was 6'7", because if I was 6'11", I'd be in the league.
I said 6'7".
If I was 6'11", I'd be in the league.
Oh, okay, gotcha. No, but so I feel like that. That I think his height hinders him from getting that contract that he wants to do, because he would be able to really do a lot more things physically.
Yeah, the height hinders him, and then there is also an element that I'll be honest with you. Well, it's off the court. It's the stuff that gets a bit uncomfortable to talk about because
explain.
Because people get out of hand when they talk about Trae. It's only 0-100, and there's no middle ground when you talk about him. And so I think the leadership aspect is certainly a big thing for him, where he has developed. And he's become a better leader. And I think, becoming a father has been a part of that. Just getting older has been a part of that too. But I do think still his leadership style is much more hands-off, and I'll do it by showing guys. And I think when you're going to pay a guy max money, you want not only the stuff on the court, but the stuff off the court as well. Or if the stuff on the court is just, so exceptional that you can overcome that stuff. And so when you talk about the height, when you talk about the defense, which has gotten exceptionally better since he's come in the league. It's funny. I think the way that people talk about Trae, they need to update their information. And especially, I've got a close friend of mine who's a Knicks fan, and talking to him and the way he'll talk about Jalen Brunson, and then I talk about Trae, and I feel like he's talking about, a current Jalen Brunson and a Trae Young from 3 years ago. And so I think this is like in the national discourse as well. It happens where people are just so forgetful of what Trae brings to the table because his passing is just on another level. He is the best passer.
His court vision is amazing.
In the NBA. And so, there are so many exceptional things that he does, but it's the other things that I know that Ansi in the front office and Quinn, being a part of those decisions are like, okay, if we're going to give you the big bucks, you got to bring this to the table as well. And I think there's just a little bit of uncertainty. I think a big part of this as well, when it comes to paying him right now, is the Atlanta Hawks have wasted a ton of Trae Young's time since he's been in the NBA. And I think they've done it by putting pieces that you looked at it on paper and you went, okay, that could work. That might work out. But then when you saw it on the court, whether it was, bringing back that whole crew that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Was a curse, man.
Yeah, or going to get DeJounte Murray, when it was in order to make this work, both of you guys have got to make major sacrifices. And it's hold on. You want guys who are prime of their career to make major sacrifices in order to win a championship, but you really don't have a roster good enough to win a championship? All of these sorts of things. They have wasted so much of Trae Young's time that I think he's made some missteps along the way and not been the most mature person that he could be. But by the time you've now reached this point of, I think you do have a very mature Trae Young and you do have a really good roster, now it's time to pay him. And, he wants his money. You can't blame him for wanting his money. But now it kind of feels like the future of this team hangs in the balance of literally how this season plays out.